Well, welcome to another episode of Cooking in the Community Kitchen, where we cook delicious dishes and have flavorful conversations. My name is Judy Anderson, and I will be your host for today as we make pickled beets. And it is such a pleasure, and I hope you will give a really warm welcome to my guest and friend, Bryton Moody.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, so it's really interesting now to have you on this side of the camera, I have to say. So we have to give just a little bit of a background. I really do have a real soft spot for both Bryton and for Oliver, because of course they were the creative, really the dream team in figuring out a new marketing plan for the community kitchen. And part of that plan was to do these videos. So I do welcome you to this side.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on this side.
Coming over to the other side,
absolutely.
Right? All right. So, you know, if you've watched us before, we kind of get right into what we're doing because we want to make this a great time. And so I'm going to have you start, please, with making the sauce for the beets.
Absolutely. So I have to confess, I've never pickled anything before. So it's going to be brand new for me. I just hope I don't burn anything.
No, yes, that's right. Well, we would have to confess that we already burned something this morning. So this is start two. And we know we're just going to fly from here.
Sounds good. So you want me to turn the heat on first, or do you want me to put the ingredients in?
I think we'll start with the water and the vinegar first.
Okay, sounds good. So we have 2 cups of white sugar.
We do, and we're going to say that with our quiet voice, right?
2 cups of white sugar.
Yeah, 2 cups.
There we go. And then we've got 1.5 cups of water.
Yes,
right?
please.
Okay. And then the same amount of, just 1 cup of white vinegar.
1 cup of vinegar, please.
Okay.
Well, and you know, when we invite our guests to join us, so we actually do choose what item is going to go in the good food box, and it turned out to be beets.
Yes.
And then I didn't quite know that it wasn't Bryton's #1 vegetable, but
however, you may make it my favorite vegetable.
All right. Well,
I have faith in you. I've tried all the other dishes when we're here, and they're fantastic.
All right.
So this I'm sure will not be an exception. So we have our sugar, we have our vinegar, we have our water.
Okay.
Now we need the pickling spice.
That's right.
So you have, what do we have here?
I do. Well, I just, it can be a tea ball, it can be one of those cylindrical, I don't think it really matters. And if you don't have either of those, you can take a little piece of cloth, put a little string on it, pop it in your sauce, and all is good.
Okay, there you go.
And so we can be just very creative with what we can use. And then we're going to put all that together, and we're going to boil it for about 5 to 7 minutes until we do really have a nice fragrant sauce on our beets. Perfect. So over the next 3 weeks, we will be having a beautiful 5-pound bag of beets. And so I think in order to really hopefully help you utilize this whole bag, this is what we want to do. So we're going to give some options, but we are going to start out with pickling. And a few episodes back around Mother's Day, we did have my mom come, and so this is her recipe.
Oh,
and
amazing.
As she told me last night, it actually came from Cousin Hazel. So anyway, so thumbs up.
Have to give credit where credit is due.
Exactly. So we are just going to start. So we also, I did cheat a little bit last night. The beets take about 45 minutes to cook. And so I did use my creative licensing last night to start that cooking process. And so I do suggest that if you are going to make the soup from this lovely beet juice, that you do want to wash and scrub your beets a little bit first, because there does seem to be a little bit of that grit, and I don't think anybody wants to try to pick out the grit when they have their soup. So about 40 to 45 minutes, and some of this will also really depend on how big your beets are, right?
Okay.
So it would look like you want to just poke them with your fork or a knife. They're going to be tender, and then they're ready to go.
Perfect.
So, and I should just give also another little tip. When you put your beets in, you want to have the water just covering. I would suggest always using a bigger pot than a smaller one, because it does tend to get a little bit on the messy side. I did add about just a small little teaspoon of butter on the top. before I started to boil them, and that kind of seals, I think that, or just makes that little bit of a coating so that it doesn't fly all over the place.
So for the pickling spice, do you just want this whole thing in there?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we
It
go.
can just sit there, and if you're watching it, you're welcome to turn the heat right up.
I will watch it like a hawk.
Exactly. And you know, when we can and pickle and things like this, some of these jobs do tend to get just a little bit on the messy side, and they're hot. So normally I would do this in my kitchen sink, but here we are going to do it right here. So the easiest way is to wear some really good rubber gloves, and then you're just going to kind of work the pickle back and forth, and that should just take the skin off. And if it doesn't, then probably maybe your beets are a little bit on the old side or whatever, but hopefully they will just come off, the skin will come off really well. And then I'm going to just cut the top and the bottom off, and then I'm going to set them aside here to cut up in just a moment. So I would just love if you would just share while you're stirring a little bit about the connectedness with the community kitchen, kind of how that all started, because you know, we always want to be really respectful of our roots and of our former founders, but you know, the community kitchen really has needed to evolve, and we are just so excited that we would be able to partner with you.
Absolutely. Well, the feeling is mutual. You know, I think I was introduced to Community Kitchen through one of the board of directors, Craig Hershka, I believe. And he introduced me to Sunday and mentioned that she was taking over as CEO and had some visions for the organization. And you know, I came here and I met Sunday, and she took me on the grand tour of Community Kitchen and went through the warehouse and obviously the kitchen that we're in. And
that's right.
I was blown away at the amount of impact that this organization has on our communities. It's not just a food bank. There's so much more behind that. And I found that incredibly inspiring, and for me it was a no-brainer. Like for us, it was an incredible opportunity to help an amazing organization kind of, you know, come into a new era.
That's right.
Right? You know, I think it's the kitchen had been around for, I think it may have been 20, 25 years when Sunday took over. And
absolutely.
And like you mentioned, had the same logo, and you want to, you know, kind of honor that tradition and heritage of the organization. But it was a pleasure getting to work with Sunday and you know, John and yourself and the team in order to kind of bring Community Kitchen into you know, 2019 or 2018, whatever it was, when we ended up doing the rebrand. So,
so what was your inspiration in actually the logo?
Yeah, so the logo was fantastic. We actually worked very closely with another partner in Calgary. Company's actually called Arcade, and they were an amazing design firm. And when we were working with them on the brand strategy and chatting that through with Sunday, you know, one of the biggest things, obviously, it's in the name, is community. And we wanted to make sure that was showcased and highlighted within the logo. And you can see is the little people that are holding hands coming together.
Exactly.
And what I think is really interesting, it's a tiny little detail, but every person is slightly different.
That's right.
And they are either, you know, a little bit wider or taller or shorter, and it was really fun to be able to kind of come up with something that reflected the community, which I believe is such an important aspect of the organization.
Well, I do too, and I love also the fact that it is about people coming together.
Yeah.
Because we're not community if there was only one of us there, right?
Absolutely.
So to have the people from, as you say, different walks of life joining together, I think it was just absolutely beautiful. And when she first showed it to me, I have to say, I said, I don't quite know, but I said, it's about people coming together, was my first impression, I guess. And usually, you know, we can kind of go with those gut feelings, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, I think it, I was talking with Craig actually not that long ago, and he reminded me how emotional I think John got when he saw the logo too, and went, you know, this is really an example of who we are, and kind of exemplifies that in a really genuine way. And that's always our goal from a branding perspective, is we want to make sure that we're creating visuals and a visual identity of a brand and reflecting their values and what they stand for and what they're about. So we were very, fulfilled and glad to know that we kind of met that
all the expectations,
goal. Absolutely.
Right? It's like it checked all the boxes.
For sure.
And so part of that was also then colors, the font, all of those things. I mean, tell us a little bit about that, if you will.
Yeah, so obviously I think a lot of people think branding, they think of a logo and just the logo itself. But there's obviously a lot of other things that come into play, and colors are obviously another, more obvious example of that. So you think of Coke versus Pepsi.
That's
you
right.
think red versus blue. But typography is the text and the font that is used, and I think is the most underrated branding tool and visual branding tool that we have. Because if you look at the font of Tim Hortons versus a Starbucks, you get a completely different feeling, right?
Absolutely.
So you get a little bit more of a prestigious feel at Starbucks just by looking at their packaging or their menus versus a Tim Hortons, right?
That's right.
And so that's definitely a piece that we integrated into Community Kitchen. We wanted it to feel welcoming and approachable instead of something that was prestigious and a little bit more standoffish, right? So that's definitely something that we took into consideration there as well.
I think it's also definitely looking at the dynamics of the people that we serve, right?
Absolutely.
Because most of the people that are involved with the Community Kitchen in any one of their programs are coming to us because there is a bit of a need. Not to say that everybody is needy, but usually there is a need that they're looking to be part of a program or to be part of the Calgary's Cooking or the Good Food Box, that it isn't just a want, it is a little bit of a need.
For sure.
So I think that that's also a beautiful thing, is that we are targeting the market of those that will have the most direct impact from the Community Kitchen.
And I mean, that was something else we needed to balance, was the two different types of perfect customers, is what we call them. Is you obviously have your clients that need some support.
That's right.
But you also have your donors that you want to attract and communicate with as well. So definitely finding that balance of being able to appeal to both audiences was important for sure.
And that balance is really hard in all of our lives. So as you can see, I'm kind of like a hot mess here. And so, normally I would do this at my kitchen sink where I've got lots of running water and things like that. So here I have now got my messy pot that I'll be able to compost. I've got my beets, and then I'm going to move on to chopping. So I think I will just put on my other rubber gloves, and then we'll just move into preparing the beets for the actual jars. We'll get back to the rest of the recipe in a moment, but first I want to quickly share something with you. Here in Alberta, 1 in 10 families struggle with food insecurity. That means 10% of our population has to make the hard decision between whether to pay their rent or buy groceries. No one should have to make that choice or wonder where their next meal is going to come from. The Community Kitchen started the Good Food Box program 20 plus years ago, and for as little as $25, anyone can purchase a 20 to 25 pound box of fresh fruits and vegetables for their family. The savings that we are able to provide, thanks to our produce partners, is about 50% of the price you would pay at the grocery store. But unfortunately, that sometimes still isn't quite enough. If you would like to make a donation and gift a Good Food Box to a family in need, visit the link in the description below and make a donation today. Help us make sure that families in Alberta don't have to choose between paying their rent or paying for groceries. If you would like to learn more about how you can purchase a Good Food Box for yourself or someone you know, we will also have a link to the Good Food Box program in the description below. On behalf of everyone at the Community Kitchen, thank you in advance for your generosity. Now, let's get back to the show. Oh, you just
We're looking
put
okay?
your nose and your face in there, and I just absolutely love all those beautiful spices that are coming through.
Perfect.
So I think you've done just a fine bang-up job.
Wonderful. I didn't burn it.
No, you didn't burn it. Okay. Yeah, rub that in just a little bit, right? Okay, so when we start and we're going to do any kind of canning, really, it is essential that you start with sterilized jars. So you want to put that through on your longest cycle in your dishwasher, lots of hot water, etc. And normally I would also bring these out hot out of the dishwasher before then I start to put the beets. So I'm going to just quickly cut these up. And you know, we've talked about that we want to keep cooking and all of these things that we do fun. So I don't think it's all that necessary to worry too much about the shape. If your family likes them thick or thin, or it can be a little combination of both. But we're just going to fill up the jar. You'll notice that they're not quite all the way to the top because we want that little bit of breathing room so that the pickles have a little bit of room to expand in the jars. And I think we're all good with that. And I love this little handy dandy sleeve. It also helps to keep the rims of the jar clean because we want to have no contact of anything on the rim of the jar as well to create that perfect seal. So that will be the next plan.
Perfect.
So there we go. We've got our other jar all done here. So I'm going to take just a moment with a clean cloth and I am going to just do this rim. And then maybe I will give you the measuring cup.
Sure.
If you would like to then just add some sauce, please, if you will, into this jar. And we will make it just pretty close to the top. And the recipe that we have included does make enough for 4 pints of beets. And I guess I should clarify that. It's going to depend what size of jars you use, right?
Right.
If you use these bigger wide-mouthed jars, then it should still, I think, give you lots and lots of sauce. If you're in doubt about how much sauce to make a little bit extra so that you won't have to redo that or revisit making extra sauce halfway done your project.
That is a very good tip. I feel like I'm making a mess over here.
Oh, I think you're doing a fine job. And I just love a man that cleans up after himself. What a bonus.
I try. How's that for
I think it's just
height?
looking really good.
Do you need more than that in there?
You know what? We'll spread it among these other 3 and then
Sounds
we'll just
good.
see. So the lids as well, I have put just into some hot water. They don't really need to be boiled, but they do need to be hot. And just as we do that one more time, I'm going to take that one
Sounds
from
good.
you. We will just clean our edge one more time just to protect that surface. And then I think we are ready to put this lid on.
So I've always wondered how the canning process works. So how does it actually seal it and preserve it if you just kind of put a little screw cap on?
That's right. Well, it is going to heat up. It is going to boil for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And at that point, then the rubber seal does make that seal to the jar. And then you are all good to go. It is just an incredible. And then we'll show maybe our viewers after too how that when they come out of the canner, they have a little bit of a bubble. And when we know that it's totally sealed, that all of a sudden the lid becomes flat as well.
Okay.
So that is another way to really double check that all of your jars are all good to go.
Right.
Because we don't want to go to all this work and then feel like, oh, we don't quite have what we need or we've done something wrong.
Right.
So it's just a good way to do a double check.
Yeah. What always seems like overwhelming or daunting, canning, but it's really not that bad if you've got the right tools for the job
You've got the
too.
tools and you've got somebody to share life with while you're doing it. Because
Absolutely.
It does become a little daunting when we have to do these things by ourselves.
For sure.
But it is lovely. I think too, as the fall comes, it kind of takes me back to my farm roots where you wanted to sort of bunker down almost like squirrel
Yeah.
for the fall and get your pantry all filled up with beautiful things. My neighbors have given me a bad time during COVID because they do know that I do quite a bit of canning, and so they all feel like they're in good hands.
Yeah.
You know, if there's anything that anybody needs, they might find it at my house. So that's kind of a good feeling
That's good.
as well.
I think I did this one too.
I think so. I think
then
we'll
that
just
guy?
maybe add it. We'll just, you know what? I think I can probably just dump this little bit extra in there. And I just top those up just a smidge.
Perfect.
And there you go.
Wonderful.
All right. So again, I'll just take that 1 second, buzz around the top, put my lid on, center it on the jar, and then put on my rim. And so this canner too, right? It's kind of like my face. It's been around for a while. And, but you know what? It's too good to replace. So it has canned many, many jars. We did, as a family, we did over 80 pints of
Wow.
peaches, and my mom, my daughter, and my grandson were all involved. And
That's
so
impressive.
it was a really lovely time to spend as a family. And I think that some of these, you know, really old traditions, that is just what they do, just like the community kitchen, right?
For sure.
It brings us together.
Absolutely.
And so we're just going to put these there. We try to kind of spread them out into the canner. We're going to drop it right down in the water.
Oh, look at that.
The water is to be just under the rim.
Okay.
And then as it boils, of course, then it will come up on top. But we do want to make sure that these do come to a full boil for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And so if you want to time that for us, is
Sure.
perfect. And then I think then we're going to move on to some of the other recipes and other things that we're going to offer with the beets.
Sounds good.
Well, we were just talking about that beets do have a little bit of a stigma, you know. Sometimes they're not our most favorite vegetable, but I think we want to just show a little bit of the versatility of the beets. And so normally we do only include one recipe in with the Good Food Box, but
Right.
this time I've included the recipe for borscht, for the pickled beets that, of course, that we're going to do. The other thing is when you do have your beets all chopped up like this, it is so easy to add a little bit of olive oil, add a little bit of thyme or your favorite seasoning, and then pop them on the barbecue, in the frying pan, in the oven, whatever, and just enjoy that beautiful caramelization and just that beautiful scent, the aroma from the beets. So you know what, then that kind of gives you something a little bit to look forward to. So I also thought I would include a recipe for a salad with fennel. And so that's what this crazy looking root thing is a fennel. You chop this off, the top off, chop the bottom off, and really not to use too much of the core or the root of this.
Okay.
I like to chop it on the mandolin because at that point then I can get my slices nice and even. You know, as a heads up, please be careful with the mandolin because it is very sharp. Use your guard as you're slicing and dicing so that, you know,
I've heard horror stories about mandolins.
That's right. Well, there are stories out there. So I've got what would be equivalent to about one kind of a small bulb. So, you know, it depends how many people you're going to have. For those of you that have watched, I'm always, you know, prepared for all of those 5 or 10 extra people that might show up.
Do you need some help there?
Oh yes, that'd be great.
You got them all.
We
Look
got
at you
'em.
go.
Look at me go. That's right. So I've got my fennel. I've got just something else in here, a little mystery. Okay, we'll pull that one out. And I'm going to add some pickled beets. And I'm also going to add just some of our just newly cooked beets. So we'll also have just those couple different flavors going on with our salad. And fennel, of course, does have that little bit of a licorice flavor to it. And but don't let that take you out. I think at least just, you know, give it your best try. and then see if you like that. There is quite a bit of dill in the recipe in the sauce,
Okay.
and that the sauce or our dressing has also been included. I like also to top the food with whatever seasoning is inside, because it does help people if they are sensitive to something, or maybe it just doesn't agree with them, to at least have the heads up, right? That,
For sure.
okay, that's in there. So I'm going to toss my dressing into my bag here.
I think this is the best hack, though, is putting your salad in the
bag. I know.
In order to mix it.
And I do, I go back and I thank my friend Carol for having amazing Great Cup parties where she would make Caesar salad for 100 people in the big black garbage
incredible.
bag. It is just such a simple take, but it really, really works. Oh, just a second here. Maybe I'm going to try just one more time to get some of that fennel mixed around. And then there we are.
The color of those beets, though. Wow.
So I think you do have a beautiful salad. This is one of my family's favorites for Thanksgiving. And I think it just does, it looks pretty. The colors are all there and very
And they're
vibrant.
very fall colors.
And they are fall colors, aren't they? Absolutely.
Nice.
And you know what? If you want to showcase a few more beets on the top, well, then that's okay too. And maybe just that little bit of dill, we'll add that. Just again, so our guests are aware of what the ingredients are. And then I think we could say to the salad, we are just so grateful for all these beautiful ingredients, fresh ingredients. We thank one of our produce partners, H&W Produce, for the beautiful beets and the fennel. And as they continue just to support us and the CPMA as well, right?
Absolutely.
I think our timer has just gone off, so we are ready now to see, I guess we're going to unveil our labors of love here. So we're going to just take these out of the canner. Yes, it's going to be really, really beautifully hot. We'll just take this and mop off the water so we don't have even more mess. And you know what? My family gave me this beautiful gadget to take these jars out, because they know that normally I just sort of do that with my pot holders. But I still think it's a good idea to probably rest your hand under the jar as it comes out, because obviously these are very, very hot, and we want to keep safety as our number one here.
Absolutely. Even just the color within the cans look beautiful.
I know. It really, really is beautiful, isn't it? So I am going to turn a beet lover.
Yes, you are.
Turn you into a beet lover.
Make a beet lover out of me, absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I think there's also just a certain sense of pride when you give a gift of yourself, because it is, you're sharing your time with the people that you give these to, or maybe you know what, you just think to heck with them. Maybe they're not worth a jar of beets. I don't know, but I love to share. Well, you know what? It is my privilege, and I am so extremely thankful that you would come and be my guest.
Well, likewise.
And I'm going to just give you a little bit of salad. You know what? Maybe I'll pick the part that doesn't have too many beets.
You put a beet in there for sure.
Whoops, there we go. Oh, made a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. Well, as I say, as we're getting close to Thanksgiving, it isn't just at Thanksgiving. We want to be thankful all the time, right?
I completely agree.
And I'd love you just to share a little bit about your background in your life.
Sure.
Because I think, how cool. You got the big hockey player, goalie.
Yeah.
And then, were you always musical even as a child?
Yeah, my parents actually met studying musical theater at the University of Calgary. So they studied opera together, which I find really funny looking back. seeing them, it'd be just hilarious to see
Oh my
what they
goodness.
would be like singing opera together. But so music was always in the house.
Okay.
And it was always something that was kind of like fun.
Right.
And while I was playing hockey, I would like write songs and learn different songs on the guitar and stuff.
Wow.
When I decided that hockey wasn't something that I wanted to do anymore, playing junior A, I decided, okay, well, let's give this music thing a shot.
Right.
And that's where, I reconnected with Annika, my duo partner, with Leaving Thomas,
Yes.
and we kind of built our career as a country duo in Canada.
I
And
know.
it was pretty crazy to be able to be like nominated for a couple CCMA awards and travel around Canada and be able to perform our songs in front of people and they sing our songs back. It was pretty
Exactly.
special. So, I'm also very grateful, like you mentioned, to be here in Calgary, where I was born and raised, and be able to grow at heart and do stuff like
Yes.
this because it flexes that creative muscle.
Exactly.
And be able to incorporate music and all that kind of stuff as well, which is fun.
For sure. And then also
Absolutely.
just have time to grow your own brand as
Absolutely.
well. So,
Yeah, for
well,
sure.
let's take a
Let's dig
couple
in.
of
Let's try
bites
this out.
here and just, give me your first impressions.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to get that beet in there because we got to try that beet.
Well,
So fresh.
I quite like fennel.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that you will enjoy that as well. Just all
Absolutely.
those beautiful flavors.
It's honestly not an ingredient I think I have ever used.
I think fennel too is a bit underrated because it is absolutely wonderful with mussels. Put the fennel in the broth of your mussels. It's really, really super good. And let me see, I'm trying to think what else I cook with it, but there's lots of beautiful recipes just with the
beautiful.
fennel. And then I think I'd like you to just touch a little bit too on your whole fundraising platform.
Yeah.
Because, that obviously really touches my heart with the
For
Good
sure.
Food Box.
Yeah. So another one of my businesses, which is called Tillen, Tillen,
Okay.
is a philanthropic platform that we are really trying to make fundraising and making a difference super easy and super fun for people.
Right.
So one of the examples that I use is think of it as like LinkedIn or Instagram for your philanthropic activity.
Oh,
so
right.
you have kind of your own profile. You can donate to any registered charity in Canada.
Okay.
And we're really focusing on challenges and fundraising campaigns to really kind of engage the community and also leverage the fun side of fundraising and really put the fun back in fundraising. So that's Tillen, and we actually did the Gift a Good Food Box campaign
I know.
with Community Kitchen last Christmas over Tillen, and like you, I love being able to kind of give back. I feel very fortunate to have the life and the opportunities that I have, and to be able to kind of build a business that also gives back is something that's very special for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's where they say that's the at heart,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
It's just the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
And I just, I love that. And I just, I bless both of you because, of course, the part of the marketing strategy was to do these videos about the Good Food Box, to promote the ingredients, trying to make it simple enough that people would try the recipes, and hopefully at one point we'll get it to the point where maybe we can be interactive. We can have people take a picture of their food and send it to us, or maybe give a comment or whatever.
Yeah.
But we are just very, very grateful for all the people that have supported the community kitchen over COVID, over this last time, because all of our sponsors have been so generous and so gracious to us, and we don't want to take that for granted either, because we know that things are tight for them as well.
Yeah.
But we honor our roots. We look forward to just creating this great brand that is very recognizable, right?
Yeah.
Of people coming together. And I am just so grateful to both you and Oliver and your rest of your dream team for making this all happen.
Absolutely.
So,
it is absolutely our pleasure. It's obviously you guys are our favorite client
because
we get to
eat a little bit.
Exactly, and build that community and the relationship around food, which is always great.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, food really does bring people together, and we just wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. And we look forward to having you join us on our next episode of Cooking in the Community Kitchen. Thank you so much, Bryton.
Thank you.
And Oliver for sharing this time with us.
Hi, I'm Sunday Nordine. CEO of Community Kitchen. Thank you for watching this episode of Cooking in the Community Kitchen. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a recipe. And if you'd like to learn more about our programs or would like to make a donation, please visit us at ckpcalgary.ca.